My name is Selena Hart. I'm 32 years old. If you asked most people who knew me, they'd probably say I've always been the steady one, the woman who listens more than she speaks, who takes on other people's storms and somehow stays calm. But nothing prepares you for the storm that comes from the person you love most. That night, in the small apartment we'd built together, Claire set her wine glass down and said the words that would hollow out my chest. We're better as friends. She said it like she was offering me a gift, like those words were kindness instead of a blade. The soft glow from the lamp painted her face in honey-colored light. To someone else, maybe she looked regretful. But I knew better. I'd memorized her too well to miss the flicker in her eyes, the way her foot tapped against the hardwood floor, restless. Claire wasn't breaking down. She was performing. She wanted me to break down. We'd been together for 3 years. 3 years of quiet mornings, road trips, shared playlists, laughter that could last an entire Sunday. And she ended it like we were closing a tab at a bar. I leaned back in my chair and studied her. Okay, I said softly. Her eyebrows twitched. That wasn't the script she'd been rehearsing. You're just too much sometimes, she continued, her voice speeding up, as though she had to fill the silence I refused to break. I need space to figure myself out. The way she said it, practiced, like she'd whispered it to her reflection a dozen times. I nodded slowly. The clock on the wall ticked between us, each second stretching like rope. I'll always love you, she added, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. Her thumb traced the familiar little circles it used to when I was nervous. Back then, that gesture could calm me. Tonight, it felt like she was soothing her own guilt, not me. The scent of garlic and herbs lingered in the air from the pasta I had cooked us. A dinner she'd eaten moments before delivering this scripted betrayal. I wondered if she planned the timing, whether she'd decided to wait until her stomach was full before tearing out my heart. I get it, I said, sliding my hand out from under hers. My voice surprised me, steady, almost detached. Her expression shifted, irritation flickering through the carefully arranged mask. She had expected tears, pleading, an argument worth remembering. Instead, she got my calm indifference. You're taking this really well, she said, her tone sharp with something between accusation and disappointment. What's there to take badly? I shrugged. You said we're better as friends. I believe you. The clink of her wine glass echoed as she set it down too hard. She wanted a scene, wanted to leave with the satisfaction of being the strong one. But without my performance, the script collapsed in her hands. You don't even want to fight for us? She demanded. I almost laughed. You're breaking up with me, Claire, and you're angry I'm not arguing? Her cheeks flushed crimson. This wasn't how she'd imagined it. I just thought, her voice faltered, reaching for the dagger she thought would cut deepest. I thought what we had meant more to you. It did, I said, simply. My words hung heavy in the silence. But I'm not going to beg someone to stay when they've already decided to leave. Her lips parted like she wanted to argue, but nothing came out. For the first time in years, I saw Claire look small, like a child who'd miscalculated the game she invented. Finally, she pushed her chair back, the scrape loud and jarring. I guess that's that then. I guess so. She lingered at the door, waiting for me to unravel, to give her the emotional payoff she came here for. I gave her nothing. I'll text you, she muttered, already pulling her purse strap higher on her shoulder. Sure, I said. Take care. The door clicked shut. I sat in silence for a long time, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the faint traffic beyond the window. My chest felt hollow, but not shattered. Empty, but not destroyed. And in that hollow space, a quiet voice whispered, "This isn't over. People like Claire never walk away clean." That night, I ordered a pizza, ate it straight from the box at the kitchen counter. And even though my life had just been broken apart, I felt a strange kind of freedom stirring in me. I didn't know it yet, but that was the beginning. 3 days. That's how long it took before the first text arrived. Hey, can we talk? I stared at the glowing words on my screen, my coffee still steaming on the counter. 3 years together, undone with a single sentence, and this was her next act? Not, I'm sorry. Not, I miss you. Not even, how are you holding up? Just can we talk? As if we'd run into each other at the grocery store. I didn't reply right away. I let the phone buzz quietly on the counter while I went hiking with a friend, the smell of pine and damp earth clearing my lungs. Hours later, when the sun had already begun to sink, I typed back. Sure, what's up? The typing bubble appeared instantly, then disappeared, then reappeared, flickering like a heartbeat too fast for its own good. Finally, I just miss you. This feels weird. I sipped my coffee slowly, even though it was already lukewarm. My fingers hovered over the keys, choosing words that would give her nothing to grip onto. Yeah, breakups are weird. Her reply came sharp, immediate. Are you okay? Like, really okay? I could almost hear the tremor in her voice through those letters. She needed me to not be okay. Needed evidence that I was unraveling, that she still mattered. I'm good, I wrote. Went hiking yesterday. Weather was nice. The typing bubble lingered this time, almost a full minute. Then her answer came small, deflated. Oh, that's good. 2 weeks later, she called at 1:17 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. The next morning, while frying eggs, I listened to her slurred words tangled with the clink of glass. I don't get why you're being like this. We said we'd stay friends. Friends answer when their friends call. Her voice cracked on the word friends. Around noon, I texted, Hey, saw I missed your call. Everything all right? 5 minutes later. No, Aaron and I got into a huge fight. I just really needed someone to talk to. Aaron. The coworker she swore was just a friend, even when I knew better. The one she leaned on long before the night she broke me with her rehearsed goodbye. That sucks, I wrote. Hope you two work it out. The typing bubble appeared, stalled, vanished, then appeared again. Finally. Are you serious? That's all you have to say? I waited an hour before responding. What do you want me to say, Claire? Her answer came fast, almost frantic. I don't know. Maybe act like you care, like what we had actually meant something to you. I set my phone down, my breakfast long gone cold, and stared out the kitchen window at the quiet street below. It wasn't that it hadn't meant something. It had meant everything. But what she wanted now wasn't love. It was proof. Proof that she still had a string tied around me. I didn't give her one. The texts kept coming, some short. How are you? Some sharp. This isn't what friends do. Each one felt less like concern and more like probes, testing the walls I'd built. And I answered them all the same way. Polite, vague, detached. Until one night the dam finally cracked. I can't do this anymore, she wrote. You're so cold now. It's like you're a completely different person. I stared at the screen for a long while, my thumb hovering. Then I typed back. Nah, I'm the same. You're just seeing me from a different angle. Her reply came quick. What's that supposed to mean? It means friends don't get the same version of me that you did. You wanted a demotion, Claire. Congrats. You got it. The bubble flickered, then died. No reply. But I knew her too well. Silence wasn't surrender. Silence was strategy. And deep down, I already knew Claire wasn't done haunting me yet. A month had passed. The texts slowed, but never stopped. They came in little waves, like someone tossing pebbles against a window, waiting for me to open it. Then, one afternoon, my phone buzzed with a request that made me laugh out loud. My lease is up, moving Saturday. Could really use an extra set of hands. I read it twice just to make sure I hadn't misunderstood. Claire was asking me to help her move. With Aaron. The man she'd once sworn was just a coworker. The man who was now, very obviously, more than that. I stared at her message, pizza box open on my counter, and nearly choked on a bite from the sheer audacity. Can't, I typed back, busy that day. Her reply didn't come until hours later, late into the night, when the world outside my window was quiet. You know, most people would at least pretend to have a real excuse. I smirked, shaking my head. Most exes wouldn't ask their ex to help them move in with their new girlfriend, I shot back. The typing bubble appeared, jittery, then vanished. Minutes stretched into silence. Finally, I just thought we were better than this. I let the words hang in the air. Better than this. As though betraying me and replacing me were somehow softened by inviting me into the moving truck like some kind of emotional chauffeur. Better than what, Claire? I asked. Her answer was short. Better than acting like strangers. I sat with that for a while, fingers resting on my phone screen but not typing. She didn't want friendship. She wanted access. She wanted proof that the bridge she burned was still standing. Eventually, I typed back, We're not strangers, we're friends. You said so yourself. And then, to twist the knife just a little, I added, Friends also respect when someone says they're busy. No reply, just silence. The days that followed felt like reclaiming air I hadn't realized I'd lost. I started running again, met friends for late dinners, filled with laughter that didn't feel forced. I even joined a pottery class, my hands shaping clay as though molding a new version of myself, steadier, stronger, grounded. Meanwhile, Claire's messages shifted tone. No more jokes, no more casual check-ins, just sharp, pointed little knives. You never used to be this cold. It's like you're punishing me. Do you really not care anymore? I answered sparingly, kindly, but never with what she craved. One evening, the text that arrived wasn't angry, it was desperate. "You didn't even say happy birthday." I froze. It had been her birthday? The date hadn't even registered. I waited until after work, then typed, "Oh, is it today? Happy birthday." The response came instantly. "You never forgot before." I could picture her face, wide-eyed, wounded, her favorite weapon of disappointment aimed straight at me. The same look that once could gut me, make me apologize even when I wasn't wrong. Now it barely grazed me. "Sorry," I typed. "Been busy." Three dots appeared, flickered, disappeared. Then, finally, "Erin forgot too. I spent the whole day alone." I stared at those words, the crack in her carefully constructed world exposed. Her new relationship wasn't the fairy tale she'd expected. And though a part of me once would have wanted to comfort her, I felt only one thing now: relief. Because for the first time since she left, I realized I didn't miss her anymore. The birthday silence changed something. After that day, Claire's messages turned from casual digs into frantic alarms. It started with calls, late-night drunk dials I ignored until the voicemail box filled with slurred confessions. Then came midday rings while I was at work, buzzing my phone across the desk until I flipped it face down. One night at 3:04 a.m., the ringtone jolted me awake. My heart hammered, half thinking someone had died. But when I saw her name glowing in the dark, I silenced the phone and went back to sleep. By morning, there were 17 missed calls and one text. "I needed you last night." I poured myself coffee before responding. "Everything okay?" The reply came in an instant. "No, Erin and I broke up. I was a mess, and you couldn't even answer your phone." I stared at the screen, sun pouring through my kitchen window like golden proof the world kept turning. "That sucks," I typed back. "You should call a friend." Her answer hit fast. I was calling a friend. I let the phone rest on the counter, my stomach twisted, not with longing, but with clarity. Claire didn't want a friend. She wanted a lifeline. She wanted me, the version of me who once would have rushed to her side no matter what. But that Selena didn't exist anymore. It wasn't long before she stopped hiding her desperation behind texts. The first time she showed up at my door, her mascara was smeared, her hair messy, her perfume too strong. Sweet vanilla laced with cigarette smoke. "You're ignoring me," she said, voice trembling. "No," I replied, leaning against the frame. "I've answered your texts." "You know what I mean," her fists clenched at her sides. "This isn't how friends act." I studied her for a moment. The woman who once held every corner of my heart now looked like a frantic stranger, clawing at a door I'd already closed. "You're right," I said calmly. "Friends don't call 17 times in the middle of the night. Friends don't scream when someone sets a boundary. Friends don't show up uninvited, demanding to be let in." Her face twisted. "Since when are you such an emotionless robot?" "Since you told me we were better as friends," I said. "This is what that looks like." She blinked, stunned by the mirror I held up. Her voice cracked. "You were supposed to—" "Supposed to what?" I asked quietly. "Supposed to wait around in case it didn't work out," she blurted. Her eyes flooded with tears, messy and real this time, not the practiced ones I used to fall for. "Supposed to still love me." The silence between us swelled, thick and suffocating. For the first time, Claire wasn't the one controlling the scene. Finally, I stepped back, hand on the door. "You should go." She opened her mouth to argue, but then her shoulders slumped. Her fight drained out of her, leaving her looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. When the door closed behind her, I realized something terrifying and liberating at once. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel anything at all. But deep down, I knew Claire wasn't finished. People like her rarely are. Months passed, seasons turned. By the time autumn arrived, my life felt like it belonged to someone new. I had a promotion at work. My evenings were filled with pottery classes, trail runs, and laughter over wine with friends I'd once neglected while drowning in Claire's orbit. But just because I'd moved forward didn't mean she stopped lingering in the shadows. It began with flowers. One Tuesday evening, I opened my apartment door to find a bouquet of roses, her favorite, not mine, propped against the frame. A card with no signature, just a scrawl I knew too well. "Did you get these?" My phone buzzed an hour later, an unknown number lighting up the screen. I blocked it without replying. The roses wilted overnight, and I tossed them in the dumpster the next morning, their petals bruised and curling. That's the thing about ghosts. They can knock, they can rattle the doorknob, but they can't step inside unless you let them. Weeks later, I saw her. A small cafe I'd started frequenting, the kind with chipped mugs and the smell of cinnamon baked into the wood. Claire sat alone at a corner table, a paperback novel open but unread. her eyes fixed on nothing. A half-empty cup of coffee cooled in front of her. Her hair was darker now, her face thinner. She looked older than I remembered, as though the weight of choices had carved years into her. And there it was, the vanilla perfume, faint but unmistakable, drifting across the room like a ghost of what we once were. I considered walking out, pretending I hadn't seen her, but when the barista called my name for my order, she spotted me. Our eyes met. Hope flared in hers, bright and desperate. Panic followed, then something I hadn't expected, shame. Her lips parted, ready to call out, to reel me back into her gravity. I gave her a polite nod, the kind you'd give an acquaintance on the street. Then I picked up my coffee and walked out without looking back. Later that night, my phone lit up with a message from a blocked number. Maybe we could try again. I stared at it for a long while. My thumb hovered, the weight of years pressing down. Finally, I typed, "Nah, you were right. We're better as friends." Then I blocked the number for good. The next morning, sunlight streamed across my kitchen counter as I brewed coffee. My life was lighter, quieter. And for the first time since that night at the dinner table, I felt truly free. But a thought stirred in the back of my mind, a whisper that wouldn't let me go. Ghosts don't vanish overnight, and sometimes they come back louder before they fade away. 1 year. That's how long it had been since the night Claire ended things with a wineglass in her hand and the line, "We're better as friends." And in that year, I'd learned something important. Healing isn't dramatic. It's not a grand revelation. It's quiet, ordinary, made up of mornings where you no longer wake up thinking of someone who left. But Claire, she hadn't learned the same lesson. Friends would mention her sometimes, uninvited. "She still asks about you," they'd say, or, "She told someone you were the one who got away." I never responded. I didn't need to. Because here's the truth. I didn't go anywhere. She was the one who walked away. And every time I heard her name, I felt nothing. Not hate, not sorrow, just nothing. Until the flowers. It was a Friday night when my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a delivery man holding roses. Again, Claire's roses. I didn't open the door. An hour later, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. "Did you get them?" I blocked it without replying. By morning, the roses were wilted, their heads drooping in surrender. I carried them to the dumpster on my way to work, petals scattering like ashes in the wind. That was the last time she tried. And maybe that's what true freedom looks like. Not blocking someone's number, not tossing out flowers, but realizing that their attempts no longer reach you at all. I stopped counting the days since the breakup, stopped wondering if she'd call again, stopped letting her shadow dictate the shape of my life. Because somewhere along the way, the ghost that was Claire faded. And I didn't. Now, when people ask about my past, I don't tell them about the betrayal, or the late-night calls, or the roses left at my door. I tell them about the hikes, the pottery class, the laughter over wine, the mornings where sunlight spills across my kitchen like a promise. Because the greatest revenge isn't hatred, it's peace. And mine is finally here.